write inside a query or build your query library. This is the quickest way to experiment and to show your team that each persona might look like in real time. Second, you might actually just decide you want to put something more permanent than a single query. For example, you can create a population or build a custom field that updates through roles so that each record carries the persona flag automatically. A rule alternative is to use an export and import process where you generate the persona flags in a query and then re-import them into Slate for long-term tracking. Today, we'll keep our focus on that first step, setting up these personas directly in a query. This gives you a working model that you can test and refine before committing to a population or field. And once you're confident in the logic and the thresholds, you can decide which of the more permanent methods best fit your institution's workflows. So we're going to spin up a query here. We're going to use our type of configurable joins. A lot of the Grimoire training will focus on configurable joins. And then we're going to use the records category, and we're going to go to person. And maybe a good primer for these trainings is actually just a simple introduction to configurable joins. I'll get that up and going at some point. So we'll build our query, and this query will return one row per person. I started with one of the clean slate environments that Slate offers, which apparently has a lot of records. Makes me feel a little silly since I definitely created a spreadsheet of dummy data. But we're going to start with looking out of state Oliver. And the primary intent here is to identify those non-resident prospects who might be distance sensitive and need targeted travel and virtual touchpoints. And we'll do this to actually build export that captures this. So we're going to add a subquery export, and we'll just say this is out of state Oliver. And we'll flip this to an existence export. So if they meet the criteria that we're going to build, we're going to say a 1 or a 0. If this was a script, you could add whatever sentence or additional details you were having here in this value if exists, because that's what's going to return in your query if you meet the filters. So for each of our personas, we are going to do a straightforward piece of Slate data, and we're also going to add an ecospherical data point. So we'll start with that Slate data right now. And we just want to see, does the state of our address, and in fact, I'm in California myself, so we'll just use California. So we're just going to join address by type and rank. We'll go with rank 1, and we'll just go with a permanent address, and we'll go California. I think when I imported my dummy data, I don't think I actually assigned a permanent versus active, but we have some matching data, so that's great. And the ecospherical data is this concept of contextual data from the student's environment. And you may be getting this through Slate itself with the American Community Survey data. You could be getting this from a vendor like Segment Analysis from College Board, not getting landscape data anymore. Or you could even generate this internally with your Slate data. Maybe you're looking at what percent of your prospective students in a certain zip code or at a certain school have a certain characteristic. So for out-of-state Oliver, since we are looking at students who are outside of California, which is just what we're treating as our institution at the moment, we want to look at what is the percent of interest in going to an out-of-state college in their neighborhood. Like I said, I had actually created a dummy data set and uploaded this. I actually added a few fields that we'll be going over. So I'm going to add another filter, and I'm going to do a comparison filter. And we'll just say, we'll just go out of state, simple, greater than or equal to, maybe we want to just do 20%. So we'll do interest, out of state interest, and I just added that to our person data table. And We will make this a real. No value, we'll just say 0 if there is no value there. And we're just going to do greater than or equals to, and we'll add a literal. Don't just add your literal to the name, add it to the actual literal value. And we're just going to allow copies. And we're going to say that this value of the students in, we're just going to say maybe some kind of vendor data or data that you have internally in your system, the amount of students or adults or people in that geography have an out-of-state interest of going to college greater than 20%. So we're going to assign this both in California and out of state. I mean, outside of California. That would probably help. Not in California. And we'll just save that. So anyone with a 1 value in this column of data, we know are falling into our out-of-state Oliver persona. And next,